next level. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something real quick. Love is a tricky game. It's funny, it's confusing, and sometimes it'll make you sit in a dark room staring at your phone, wondering why the person who claims to love you so much is the same person who ignores you the most. Now, I know what you're thinking. If they love me, why won't they text me back? Why do they act distant? Why do they treat everybody else better than they treat me? See, that's the kind of stuff that keeps people up at night. But let me break it down for you. Love is a powerful force, but it isn't always simple. For some people, the deeper they love, the more fear creeps in. Love creates vulnerability, and not everyone knows how to handle that feeling. When someone loves you a lot, they may find themselves overwhelmed by the emotions they feel. It's not that they don't care, it's that they care too much. And because they care so deeply, they begin to fear what might happen if they lose you. That fear manifests in different ways, and one of the most common ways is distance. People have different ways of dealing with emotions, and love can be one of the scariest emotions of all. When someone has been hurt before, when they've experienced loss, betrayal, or heartbreak, love doesn't just feel exciting, it feels dangerous. They start thinking about the possibility of getting hurt again, and their natural instinct is to protect themselves. Instead of leaning in, they pull away. Instead of embracing love, they create space. They believe that if they keep their distance, they won't get hurt. But in reality, they're only hurting themselves and the person they love. Sometimes, the more someone values you, the more hesitant they become in how they treat you. They overthink their words, their actions, and their responses because they don't want to mess things up. They feel so much pressure to do things right that they start doing things wrong. Instead of expressing their feelings freely, they hold back. Instead of showing up fully, they retreat. It's not that their love is weak, it's that their fear is strong. And when fear and love exist together, fear often takes the lead. There are people who grew up believing that love comes with conditions. Maybe they were raised in an environment where love was inconsistent, where affection was given and taken away unpredictably. As a result, they developed a habit of pushing people away even when they want them close. It's not a conscious decision, it's a defense mechanism. They might love you deeply, but they don't always know how to express that love in a healthy way. Their instincts tell them that the closer they get, the more likely they are to get hurt. So they create distance, not because they don't care, but because they care so much that they're afraid of what that love could do to them. For some, ignoring you is a way of testing your love. It's not fair, but it happens. They want to see if you'll chase them, if you'll stay even when they pull away. It's not a game in their eyes. It's survival. They believe that if they make themselves less available, they'll protect themselves from being too dependent on your presence. They fear that if they give too much, they'll lose control. They don't realize that in trying to protect their heart, they're actually pushing away the very thing they want the most. Love is supposed to be freeing, but for some it feels like a trap. They don't know how to navigate something so deep, so real, so intense, so they ignore texts, they avoid conversations, they keep a certain level of emotional distance. They don't do it because they don't love you. They do it because love makes them feel vulnerable. And vulnerability makes them feel exposed. And for someone who has spent their life protecting their heart, exposure is terrifying. People don't always ignore you because they've lost interest. Sometimes they ignore you because they're terrified of how much they actually care. They feel emotions that they can't fully process, and instead of dealing with them head on, they retreat. It's their way of coping, even if it makes no sense from the outside. They would rather risk losing moments with you than risk losing themselves in their feelings. They don't see that love isn't about control, it's about trust. And when fear takes over, trust becomes impossible. Some people are great at the chase. They thrive on the excitement of winning someone over, of proving themselves, of feeling wanted and needed. In the beginning, they will go to great lengths to show their affection. They'll call, they'll text, they'll plan surprises, and they'll make sure you know how much they want you. But once they have you, once they feel secure in your presence, something shifts. The effort starts to fade, the attention dwindles, and suddenly the person who once couldn't go a day without talking to you now seems distant. It's not that their feelings have necessarily changed, it's that they don't know how to maintain what they fought so hard to get. For some people, the thrill of the chase is what excites them the most. They equate love with pursuit, with proving themselves, with overcoming challenges. But once that challenge is gone, they struggle to transition into the deeper, more stable phase of love. They don't know how to nurture something they already have. They've spent so much energy on getting there that they never learn what to do once they arrived. Love, to them, was about effort in the beginning, not consistency over time. There are also those who never had to work hard for love before. Maybe they're used to people sticking around no matter what, so they don't feel the need to maintain what they have. They assume that once they've won your heart, you'll always be there. They take comfort in that idea, but that comfort leads to complacency. They stop showing up the way they used to. They stop putting in the effort that made you fall for them in the first place. It's not always intentional. They just don't realize that love isn't something you win once and keep forever. It's something you have to continuously work for. Some people fear commitment even if they don't realize it. When they're chasing someone, they're focused on the goal, but when they finally get what they wanted, reality sets in. They start to feel the weight of responsibility that comes with love. They start to question if they can meet expectations, if they can truly be what their partner needs. That doubt, that fear of not being enough, makes them withdraw. They don't talk about it, they don't explain it, they just start creating distance. It's not about a lack of love, it's about a fear of not being able to sustain it. There are also those who thrive on validation. The chase gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of excitement. They feel powerful when they're winning someone over, but once they have that person, they start looking for the next high. They may not even realize they're doing it, but they crave the rush of pursuit more than the stability of a relationship. They mistake excitement for love, and when things settle into a rhythm, they assume something is wrong. They don't understand that real love isn't about constant highs, it's about deep connection and trust. Some people grow up believing that love is something they have to earn. They think they have to prove their worth to be loved, and once they feel secure, they don't know what to do next. The energy they put into proving themselves disappears because they never learn how to simply be in love without the need for validation. They don't know how to maintain love without feeling like they have to fight for it every day. Many don't even realize they have this pattern. They believe they're doing everything right, that they've already put in the work, and that love should now take care of itself. But love doesn't work like that. It's not something that stays alive without effort. It's not something that thrives without care. When someone is great at chasing but terrible at keeping, it's not love they struggle with, it's consistency. Being ignored in a relationship doesn't always mean a lack of love. Sometimes it means the exact opposite. There are people who, when faced with deep emotions, don't know how to handle them. Love, especially when it feels intense and overwhelming, can trigger insecurities, fears, and doubts. Instead of embracing it, they retreat. Instead of expressing their feelings, they shut down. It's not that they don't care, it's that they care so much that they don't know what to do with all the emotions inside them. For some, love brings up past wounds. Maybe they've been abandoned before. Maybe they've been hurt in ways that made them believe love is temporary. When they find someone they truly care about, those old fears start creeping in. They don't ignore you because they want to hurt you. They ignore you because their mind is telling them to protect themselves. They convince themselves that if they keep some distance, they won't get too attached. If they don't respond right away, if they don't always show up, maybe it won't hurt as much if things go wrong. They create space, not because they don't love you, but because they're afraid of losing you. Some people struggle with communication. They may love deeply, but they don't know how to put their emotions into words. They fear saying the wrong thing. They fear looking weak, or they simply don't know how to express themselves in a way that feels comfortable. So instead of trying, they stay silent. Instead of explaining what they feel, they avoid conversations altogether. It's easier for them to retreat than to confront emotions they haven't learned to process. They assume that if they just pull back for a while, everything will settle on its own. But what they don't realize is that silence often hurts more than words ever could. There are also those who ignore you because they are testing your love. They don't do it maliciously, but deep down, they want to know if you'll stick around. If they pull back and you chase after them, it reassures them that you care. It's not a healthy way to love, but it comes from a place of insecurity. They've convinced themselves that love is about proving devotion rather than sharing it. They ignore not because they don't want you, but because they want to feel needed. They crave the reassurance that you won't leave, even when they make it difficult for you to stay. Sometimes ignoring is a form of self-preservation. Love makes people feel exposed, vulnerable, and out of control. If someone isn't used to that feeling, their instinct will be to create space. They'll ignore texts, avoid deep conversations, and withdraw emotionally. Not because they want to push you away, but because they don't know how to exist in a relationship without feeling like they're losing a part of themselves. They need time to process what love means to them, and in doing so, they unintentionally make the other person feel unwanted. Then there are those who don't realize they're ignoring you at all. Love feels natural to them, and they assume that once they have you, everything should just flow without constant attention. They don't see love as something that needs daily reassurance, so they operate in their own world, unaware of how their distance makes you feel. It's not that they love you any less, it's that they don't think about love the same way you do. They don't realize that what feels normal to you might feel like neglect to you. Being ignored in love is confusing because it goes against what we expect. When we love someone, we want to be close, to communicate, to connect, but not everyone responds to love in the same way. Some people love deeply yet fear attachment. Some crave love but don't know how to sustain it. And some, without realizing it, create distance with the very person they never want to lose. Love is not supposed to be a constant state of confusion. When someone truly cares about you, you shouldn't have to sit there questioning where you stand in their life. But too often, people find themselves caught in a cycle of uncertainty, trying to decipher mixed signals, waiting for replies that never come, and wondering why the person who claims to love them doesn't make them feel secure. Love should never feel like a guessing game. If you're spending more time wondering how someone feels about you than actually feeling their love, that's a sign that something isn't right. Love is meant to be clear. It's meant to be consistent. It's meant to bring peace, not anxiety. But when someone ignores you, pulls away, or treats you as if you are an option rather than a priority, it creates doubt. That doubt can make you question yourself, your worth, and even your own instincts. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to justify inconsistent love. They tell themselves that maybe the person is just busy, maybe they're not good at texting, maybe they just need space. While those things can sometimes be true, love still finds a way to be present. No matter how busy someone is, no matter how much they value their alone time, if they love you, they will make sure you know it. They won't leave you in a position where you have to wonder if they care. They won't make you question whether they want you in their life. There's a difference between love that takes effort and love that takes away your peace. Every relationship requires work, but that work should not be you constantly proving yourself or fighting for attention. You should not have to remind someone to care about you. You should not have to chase after someone just to feel noticed. When love is right, it doesn't make you feel invisible. It doesn't leave you feeling like you are the only one putting in the effort. It flows naturally, even in difficult moments. Some people confuse inconsistency with passion. They mistake mixed signals for excitement. They convince themselves that the ups and downs are just part of the process. But real love doesn't play with your emotions. It doesn't keep you waiting, wondering, or second guessing. Love doesn't disappear when it's inconvenient and then reappear when it's ready. Love is steady. Love is reliable. Love is something you should be able to count on, not something that keeps you on edge. If you have to constantly decode someone's feelings, if you feel like you are always the one trying to close the distance, if you find yourself explaining away behavior that makes you feel unwanted, then the truth is already there. Love isn't supposed to feel that way. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to settle for moments of affection in between long stretches of silence. You don't have to convince yourself that the bare minimum is enough. People show love in different ways, but at the end of the day, love is about making the other person feel seen, valued, and appreciated. No one who truly loves you will make you feel like you're in a constant state of uncertainty. No one who truly cares about you will leave you questioning whether you matter to them. If someone is making you feel that way, it's not because they love differently, it's because they are not giving you the love you deserve. Love should not feel like a riddle you are trying to solve. It should not feel like an emotional roller coaster that leaves you exhausted. It should feel like home. It should feel safe. It should feel like something you never have to doubt. People have a habit of making excuses for those who take them for granted. They tell themselves that maybe the person is just going through something. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they don't realize how their actions make them feel. But the truth is, when someone truly values you, they don't make you feel like an afterthought. They don't treat you as if your presence in their life is guaranteed no matter how they act. Taking someone for granted often happens when one person assumes the other will always be there. They start putting in less effort, they stop appreciating the little things, and they assume that love alone is enough to keep the relationship going. They don't realize that love without effort fades. No one wants to feel like they are being tolerated instead of cherished. No one wants to feel like they are always the one giving while the other person just receives. Love is supposed to be mutual, not one-sided. Sometimes people take others for granted because they believe that as long as they aren't doing anything wrong, everything is fine. They think that just because they aren't being cruel or disrespectful, there's no reason for their partner to feel unhappy. But love isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about making an active effort to show care, attention, and appreciation. It's about making sure the other person feels wanted, seen, and valued. People also take others for granted when they become too comfortable. In the beginning, there's excitement, passion, and a desire to impress, but as time passes, that effort starts to fade. They assume that since the person has stuck around this long, they don't need to try as hard anymore. They forget that relationships don't run on autopilot. They forget that what made someone fall in love with them was the effort they put in, not just the words they said. When someone stops putting in the same energy they once did, they aren't just getting comfortable, they're slowly pushing the other person away without even realizing it. Then there are those who assume that no matter what they do, the other person won't leave. They test boundaries, cancel plans, stop communicating, and put in the bare minimum, all while expecting the other person to just accept it. They don't think about what it feels like to be on the receiving end of their actions. They don't stop to consider how it feels to be the one always waiting, always hoping, always giving more than they get in return. They don't see the damage they are doing because they assume that love is enough to make up for it. But love without action loses its meaning. There are also people who don't intentionally take others for granted, but they do it because they assume they have all the time in the world. They think they can always make up for the moments they missed, the words they didn't say, or the effort they didn't give. But what they fail to understand is that people don't wait forever. Eventually, even the most patient and loving person will realize they deserve more. Eventually, the one who was always there will stop showing up. Taking someone for granted doesn't always mean treating them badly. Sometimes it's just failing to acknowledge their presence in a meaningful way. It's forgetting to say thank you, forgetting to show appreciation, forgetting to make them feel special. It's assuming that they know how much they are loved without ever actually showing them. It's believing that their loyalty means they don't need to be reminded of their worth. But the reality is, no matter how much someone loves you, if they don't feel valued, they will start to pull away. And once they do, all the apologies and excuses in the world won't undo the damage that has already been done. Love is a two-way street, but too often, one person ends up doing all the work while the other gets comfortable. When someone truly loves you, their actions should match their words. But when they start ignoring you, pulling away, or putting in less effort, it forces you to question everything. You start wondering if you did something wrong, if they're losing interest, or if you're expecting too much. But love should never make you feel like you're asking for too much, just because you want to feel valued. When someone knows they have your heart, they sometimes stop trying. In the beginning, they were consistent, they made you feel special, and they put in the effort to win you over. But over time, they assume they don't need to do all of that anymore. They think that just because you love them, you'll always be there, no matter how much their effort fades. They don't realize that love isn't something you secure once and never work on again. It requires continuous effort, or else it starts to fall apart. The moment someone starts taking you for granted, you begin to feel like you're the only one holding the relationship together. You start initiating every conversation, making all the plans, and keeping the connection alive while they do the bare minimum. You start questioning if they even care, but instead of giving you reassurance, they just expect you to deal with it. The truth is, love should never feel one-sided. It should never feel like you're chasing someone who has already stopped running. There are people who assume that as long as they aren't being outright hurtful, they're doing enough. They don't see the damage their silence causes. They don't realize that ignoring text, forgetting important moments, and failing to make an effort are all forms of neglect. Just because they aren't being cruel doesn't mean they're showing love. Love is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about actively making the other person feel important. Some people act distant because they don't want to seem too attached. They have this idea that showing too much love makes them vulnerable, so they hold back. They think that by being distant, they can maintain control over the relationship. But what they don't realize is that by trying to protect themselves, they are pushing away the person who actually cares about them. They are creating distance where there should be closeness. There are also those who are emotionally unavailable but still want to keep you around. They give you just enough attention to keep you from walking away, but never enough to make you feel truly secure. They show love in small doses, but then disappear when you need them most. They act like they care, but they never fully commit. It's a cycle of being pulled in and then pushed away, leaving you feeling confused and emotionally drained. Some people don't even realize how much their actions affect the person they love. They think everything is fine because you're still there, still trying, still giving them chances. They assume that as long as you're not walking away, they don't need to change. But what they fail to see is that every time they ignore you, pull away, or make you feel unimportant, they are slowly losing you. One day you will stop waiting for them to care. One day you will realize that love is not supposed to feel like this. One day you will understand that the person who truly loves you will never make you feel invisible.